This video contains full spoilers for every single episode of My Adventures with Superman. Season 2 of My Adventures with Superman really got the ball rolling from episode 5, and that led up to a really strong season story over the next few episodes. I made a video reviewing episodes 1 to 5, and then another one reviewing episodes 6 to 9, deliberately leaving the season finale for its own video, and that's this one right here. This video will be my review for My Adventures with Superman Season 2 Episode 10, titled My Adventures with Supergirl, which cements the titular character of the episode, Supergirl, as what is, in my opinion, one of, if not the single best adaptations of the character ever. Make sure to leave a like, leave your own thoughts in the comments, and subscribe. Help me get to 100,000 subscribers. And let's begin. So right off the bat, I want to talk about Supergirl, since the episode absolutely cemented this version of the character as one of the best adaptations of the character, despite how different she is from the comics. This version of Supergirl is the same age as Clark, did not grow up on Krypton, is Brainiac's adopted daughter, and started off as a villain, all of which works really well. Throughout the season, they managed to simultaneously portray her as terrifying and adorable, as well as both villainous and heroic. Her dynamic with Superman was super fun, her romance with Jimmy is super cute, and her relationship and conflict with Brainiac, tying to her inner conflict regarding Brainiac, the Kryptonian Empire, and the planet she loved, are all incredibly compelling, making for a fantastic arc that leads right into My Adventures with Supergirl, where she's finally brought all the way down to Earth by the likes of Clark, Jimmy, and Lois, and she fully becomes Supergirl. With how great this all was, it made the moment where her costume finally changed from a Kryptonian Empire uniform to a Supergirl costume a genuine cheer moment because of how earned it felt. And then her destroying Brainiac is also such a cathartic moment. This version of the character takes a new and interesting spin on her origin and uses it to the advantage of the series and the character, making for a compelling arc given to a well fleshed out and compelling character that's the type of thing that I can envision potentially influencing the comics a bit given how well it all works. The previous episode ended on a cliffhanger of the Super Cousins defeated by Kryptonite and Brainiac charging a beam at Earth. The way this episode begins, it does feel like that beam quickly becomes a bit of an afterthought, which is maybe my biggest complaint with the episode. But then on the flip side, like in the previous episode, I did really like the focus on how Amanda Waller does stick to her guns and continues to fight for Earth, because regardless of how she did go about it up until this point, her intentions have always been genuine. Unfortunately, Lex immediately leaves and only returns for a second later on, meaning he still has not lost his hair, which is something that I was really looking forward to, and it's a shame because I think it's about time. At this point, it's becoming a bit annoying that he still has hair because it's not in the origin story stage anymore, but I guess it'll have to be something I look forward to in season 3, where I really hope he's the main villain. Then, Steel shows up, which was pretty awesome, feeling like the season is further coming together, and the show took it a step further by bringing back a lot of recurring villains, which is something that I don't typically love, having a bunch of villains team up with the heroes and be good guys, but I do like it when more street-level villains become temporarily heroic to stop a world-ending threat, simply because they don't want to die, and it helps that the scene that came out of this was a really nice one, with fantastic animation that showcases the powers of each character together as one. It can also work as a scene where Superman's general demeanor brought out the good in villains, just like how it brought out the good in Kara, which I guess could be a bit of a theme for the season, and that's pretty nice to think about. Speaking of Superman, I will say that in this episode, his new suit has grown on me. The spiky shoulders are not too overbearing from most angles, and the added yellow goes a long way to make him pop more as a character. I definitely don't like it more than the original, but I also no longer think that it's a downgrade. After the villains help Superman and Supergirl get to Brainiac, it's revealed that he was the one who destroyed Krypton, and that Krypton actually signed a peace treaty with Apocalypse, an insane reveal that effectively hits to the very core of Clark and Kara, and further cements this version of Brainiac as just an incredible villain, helped greatly by Michael Emerson's fantastic delivery, the sinister voice modulation, and the general writing. This version of Brainiac is a war machine created to help Krypton in its wars, that destroyed Krypton just because they were finding peace so that he would not be decommissioned, which is kind of terrifying. It's so creepy to think about. And Brainiac's general creepiness is really leaned into here, like in this one shot, which doubles as a really smooth transition as well. The whole time, I've wanted Brainiac to get his classic green and purple color scheme, especially since he already had the purple cloak, and that finally happens right at the end as he starts to utilize kryptonite, and it's there where he definitely peaks in terms of design and just as an adaptation of Brainiac. I just wish he had looked like this for longer, but if I'm being honest, the color scheme was the only thing holding him back, so here he's kind of a perfect villain and a perfect adaptation of Brainiac. Backing up a bit, Brainiac takes control of Kara again, from which we get this fantastic, really long fight scene, which contains some of the best animation in the series and an incredible showcase of the character of Superman. He never throws a punch and acts entirely on the defensive, never attempting to defeat Kara, instead trying to help her get control back. While this was all happening, I was just hoping it would end in a hug, and that's exactly what they did in this fantastic moment that almost feels like a commentary on some other adaptations of Superman, where it looks like he's about to throw a punch, but he actually goes in for a hug instead. It's honestly moments like these that I can't help but love. It's so quintessentially Superman, and I can't get enough of it. This episode is titled after and does focus a bit more on Supergirl because it's the climax of her arc, but Superman is not pushed to the side for that. He has some fantastic moments and a huge impact as well. Unlike Superman, Lois and Jimmy do feel like they are pushed to the side a bit, not getting too large of a role, but honestly that's completely fine in this action-packed season finale, but also they do get some moments as well, helping Clark bring Kara back, being definitely the biggest one. The following Superman and Supergirl team up against Brainiac near the sun is genuinely incredible. It's so well animated with some breathtaking visuals throughout, all leading to such a satisfying defeat, and as previously mentioned, a very satisfying end to Kara's arc and journey to becoming Supergirl. What I didn't mention are my thoughts on the suit, and I gotta say, I love this Supergirl design. I think the general Kryptonian-inspired design of the suits of this version of Superman actually fits Supergirl a bit better, and I love the scarf cape, super unique, and I'd say color-wise makes up for the lack of a skirt or any amount of red on the bottom of the suit. I love this Supergirl design. During this whole sequence, the Super Cousins find themselves inside the sun, and I gotta be honest, up until this point I did not realize that Clark never learned that his powers were derived from the sun, but it made for a really nice moment of Clark going after Kara, not knowing how he'll escape the sun's gravitational pull, and it definitely helps that the visuals of this scene are spectacular. I love the visual of the sun kind of flowing through their veins. As they leave the sun and head towards Brainiac, it becomes clear that from this point on, while Superman's powers have been represented by a blue glow this entire time, Supergirl's are red, which further adapts the red and blue Superman concept from the 90s in a very interesting way that does not completely change their powers, and it's something that I'm looking forward to see more of in season 3. In the moment following Brainiac's defeat, I'm not exactly sure why Kara continued to hold on to that last piece of Brainiac, aside from it being a good excuse to bring him back eventually, but I guess, just from Kara's perspective, she maybe wants to hold on to a small piece of her childhood, so I guess that can make sense. The rest of the episode is a collection of really nice moments that just kept the smile on my face throughout. Like, Kara being welcomed to Earth and playing catch with Clark was really nice, Kara officially being given the name Supergirl, Lois revealing she's staying in Metropolis, the double date, and then flying off to save the day. Just a really pleasant few scenes that capture a really nice vibe, and even feel like it can act as an end to the series. Thankfully, it's not the end. Season 3 is coming, and after how good the first 2 seasons were, and I'll be honest, Season 2 ended up being maybe even better than Season 1, I'm definitely more excited than ever. So, in conclusion, Season 2's finale successfully concluded Kara's fantastic arc, had some of the best animation and visuals in the show's history, perfectly captured the character of Superman, had an incredible villain and a satisfying defeat for said villain, and ended on a really pleasant, really satisfying note. All in all, I had some minor nitpicks for this episode, but nothing that is enough to bring this episode down from deserving a 10 out of 10 like the Season 1 finale did, but I'd say this one is actually a bit better. With this episode being a 10 out of 10, it brings the season average from a 7.9 to an 8.1, which is a pretty great score for a season, but also that's the average. If we're talking about my rating for the season, I think it maybe just works a bit better than the sum of its parts, just as a story, so I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about the season and this particular episode and this version of Supergirl? Do you think she's the best adaptation of the character? And thanks for watching.